You really have to move over GST and the land bill because it's firefighting time for the Modi government thanks to the nationwide unrest over the beef ban. The government's efforts to fast-track reforms has suffered a huge setback, with beef politics taking centre stage, shifting the focus away from the development agenda, that is. Even Finance Minister Arun Jaitley admits that the controversy over the Dadri killing can amount to policy diversions.
India Inc. is turning restless. Many top CEOs ET now spoke to admit that the Dadri killing has dealt a body blow to India's image, but they don't say it on record. All this, of course, is happening at a time when German Chancellor Angela Merkel is on a state visit with top business team. No word yet, though, from the Prime Minister, although Home Minister Rajnath Singh has stepped in to douse the fire. Beef politics and its impact on business and the economy, that's our top story on Business Tonight.
8 days after an unruly mob shamefully killed a man for allegedly eating beef just 55 kilometers away from the Prime Minister's residence in New Delhi, political polarization has only worsened, making many question the distorted social fabric of India and the conspicuous silence of the Prime Minister. But finally, Home Minister Rajnath Singh today broke the government silence and spoke about India's secular culture.
मुझे ये बताया गया है कि वहाँ की स्थिति को सहज और सामान्य बनाने के लिए प्रयत्न किया जा रहा है, लेकिन जो कुछ भी है मैं मानता हूँ कि जो घटना घटित हुई है बहुत ही दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है.
This comes a day after Home Ministry issued a missive to all states in India to curb any communal tension and stated that no threat to secular fabric will be tolerated.
सामाजिक सांप्रदायिक सौहार्द बनाकर रखना हर जो है भारतीय नागरिक की जिम्मेदारी बनती है और यह सामाजिक और सांप्रदायिक सौहार्द बनाकर रखने के लिए सभी को योगदान करना चाहिए.
Interestingly, Finance Minister Jaitley has also said that such communal discourse is distracting the government's economic agenda and is leading to policy diversions. Jaitley, after all, knows too well that the communal discourses like these have overshadowed the government's economic agenda, with many experts blaming the top bosses, including the Prime Minister himself, for his absolute silence on this issue. Many believe this silence could be seen as an endorsement of what is happening and should in fact be clamped down upon. Wooing foreign investors, laying a red carpet for the top dollar, making it easy for business to flourish is one thing. But investors cannot be oblivious to the ground realities. After all, India may be a great market, but a market with crumpled and torn social fabric doesn't remain good for too long. Supriya, Shrinate, ET Now, New Delhi.
While Prime Minister Modi is globe-trotting and singing the development tune all across, can India afford beef politics at this point in time? How worried is corporate India? What kind of an impact could this have on the investment climate in the country? Let's take it across to our big debate this evening. And joining us are four guests who are known to speak their mind. We've got Swaminathan Aiyar, consulting editor of ET Now, Gurcharan, author and columnist, Mohandas and Sanjeev Aga joining in on this big debate on Business Tonight. Swami, I'm going to start off with you. Do you believe that the development agenda has been hijacked by all that's happening over the last couple of weeks? How dismayed are you by all that's going on?
I am thoroughly dismayed. At the end of it all, Modi came to power pledging good governance. What is happening in India is the most terrible kind of governance. In effect, you are getting official government sanction for lynch mobs disrupting social harmony. If you do not have social harmony, there is no question of having good governance. There is no question of having fast growth rate. You're going to have to attend to patching up your social problems before you can attend to the economic problems. I am appalled at what is happening. I will not say it is as bad as the Babri Masjid movement. So let's not exaggerate and get back to that particular episode. But we have an outrageous situation where somebody who eats beef, which is perfectly legal, can be lynched. And you have a series of BJP spokesmen giving some lame excuse or the other. Somebody like Tarun was saying, oh, if it really was not beef, how terrible. Excuse me, why should it not be beef? For hundreds and hundreds of years, Muslims have eaten beef. For hundreds and hundreds of years, Hindus have eaten beef. I mean, the tribals and the scheduled castes have always eaten beef. I eat beef. I am a Brahmin. So there are a large number of people who eat beef. There is a small, or let me not say small, there is the substantial group of upper caste Hindus represented by this BJP and the RSS who are attempting to thrust their eating habits on everybody else. How dare you? If you don't want to eat, you don't eat. Who are you to tell somebody else what they can or they cannot eat? So as I said, we are getting down to the most fundamental human liberties. And if the most fundamental human liberties are at risk, and you are liable to be just slaughtered for exercising your individual liberties, what kind of society is that? Why should anybody invest in such a society? Why should any decent people live there?
All right, getting down to fundamental human liberties and actually watching what you have on your platter, that's the word coming in from Swaminathan Aiyar. But Gurcharan Das, what do you believe? Has the development narrative, for the reason by which this government was voted into office so overwhelmingly, has that been hijacked thanks to all this communal discourse that we are seeing?
Well, I think so. You know, the fact is that successful nations are built around a common sense of purpose. And in May 2016, when the new government came to power, in 2015, a year or so ago, the fact is that the nation had achieved a common sense of purpose. Modi was elected to stop inflation. He was elected to stop corruption and to bring back jobs. He was not elected for our Hindutva agenda. And so what we have now is a distraction or actually a subversion of the basic agenda for which he was elected. The fact is, if Modi had only been supported by the Hindutva people, he wouldn't have got more than 100 seats or maybe 150. But he got almost 300 seats. And that's the reason the country, people like myself, we voted for the first time for the BJP because we wanted to enjoy the demographic dividend and for India's growth rate to get back to the normal and create the jobs that we have to do.
Mohandas, two people on my panel believe they're dismayed with what's really happening in India. I want to throw the question to you and would like to quote Gurcharan Das on this. He believes there is distraction and subversion of the mandate for which Modi was put in office. There is way too much communal disharmony, there's way too much communal discourse, and the man at the top is absolutely silent about all of this.
No, I think this is a gross exaggeration of the facts on the ground. We must remember, we are a country of 1.27 billion people. It's a very large, diverse country with a variety of people doing whatever they want. 20 states in the union have passed a law against cow slaughter. It is part of the dietary principles of state policy. Digvijay Singh said it very beautifully in the TV debate yesterday when he said that even the Mughals are very sensitive to the needs of certain people. Democracy is a system of competitive lobby. Some people want it. Well, they will agitate for it. So long as there is no violence. What has happened in Dadri is violence, which is unacceptable. We must accept it as a breakdown of law. We must arrest those people who are responsible for it. We must prosecute them and get along with our lives. It's not that the whole world has become communal. It's that the whole thing is blowing up in the face. There's nothing like that on the ground. Let's be very clear and let's not exaggerate it. Make it as if the idea of India is destroyed. You know, people don't want this country. I think this is a gross exaggeration of everything. This is not an affront on our civil liberties. Our civil liberties depend upon the constitution and the courts. In Maharashtra, there's a ban on eating beef, which will be struck down by the courts because the matter has gone to the courts. It's an affront against civil liberty. We have to look at it. Everything cannot be put into a communal agenda. Everything cannot be put into that. I think we are grossly exaggerating. As far as business is concerned, investment is concerned, it is not going to have an impact. Let me give you an example. The US, 294 mass killings in the last 12 months, 8,152 people shot and killed by people who use guns for a variety of areas, many loonies, many gang fights. Has it vitiated the atmosphere in the US for investment? I mean, this is a part of society, so we have to take it as that. Tomorrow, let me tell you that if the media finds something very big, this will be forgotten as the Muzaffarpur Nagar. What we have in India is a breakdown of law, which we have to fix. Let's not blow it up to some unimaginable levels.
Okay, let me get in another view. You know, I don't want to get into the merits of the beef ban debate because I think that's a separate debate in itself. But Sanjeev Aga, let me throw this to you. Do you agree with Mohandas Pai that there's been a bit of an exaggeration out here in a sense? Or do you believe that, you know, that Swami's interpretation is correct, and something that even Gurcharan Das has agreed, that all this communal, discourse has, in a sense, distorted the narrative from development, and it's in a sense, it's hijacked the development agenda of the government.
Well, I would slightly agree with Mohandas Pai that to say that this is the end of the world would be a gross exaggeration. In a big country, things of this nature can happen. But on the whole, I am closer to Swami's take on the situation. One man's death in a large country may be just a statistic. But what I find amazing is that I think, a mob landing up for no rhyme or reason and slaughtering a person in cold blood. I've read about this in the pre-partition riots. But most recent things have happened, and the spur of the moment with some provocation. These kinds of things really upset me. One of the tickers you're carrying on your channel is, will this dent India's image? Now, if there is one human being or one person like you or me, we can put on an act. But 1.25 billion people can't put on an act. We can't put on lipstick. And before you get the respect of others, you must get self-respect. And certainly as a citizen of this country, I hang my head in shame when things of this nature happen. This worries me more than, because it reflects there must be at least 100, 200 people who must have been part of this mob. And there is a large percentage of this village which is indulgent about this thing happening. This is what worries me. It is not just one death. And a large section of the
political class also seems to be making irresponsible comments, which Swami spoke about as well. But Swami, I want you to take on what Mohandas Pai talked about, the impact of these things. He said that, it's not going to have such a significant impact as far as investment is concerned. We see, we see such incidents happen globally as well. He spoke about incidents of crime in the US. Sitting in Washington, do you believe incidents like this, do they spook foreign investors? Will it have any material impact on India as an investment destination, or is that a bit of a unnecessary concern right now?
No, I said it will not have an impact on foreign investment because foreign investors are used to investing in all kinds of countries without civil rights. I mean, they invest in Saudi Arabia, don't they? Where are the civil rights there? Look at the way they treat women. Look at the way they treat non-Saudis. It's absolutely terrible. So they have invested in countries where people are stoned to death for adultery, or even for just the suspicion of a woman going out unaccompanied by a male relative. These are things, or if you change your religion, it's capital punishment in a number of countries. And yet, do foreign investors stop investing there? No. So will they continue to invest because you had these lynch mobs against beefeaters? No, they will continue to invest in the short run. I'm merely saying the long-term profile really does get affected.
Relish the long-term profile of India, but Gurcharan Das, if I may throw this to you, we actually asked a whole host of CEOs, some top-notch CEOs who were present at that meeting between Merkel and Modi today. They believe it's not going to have a significant impact. At worst, it's perhaps a minor policy distraction. Do you agree with them? Or do you agree with Swami, who believes people will still come and invest in India given the long-term potential here? Or do you believe it could actually be damaging in terms of India's own ability to attract investments?
Well, I think Narendra Modi must speak up. He must say that this is very bad. This incident like this is very bad for the country. And in the beginning, I also gave a lot of slack. I said, well, there have been pent-up energies, and the fact is that in every political party there are extremists, and therefore we have to put up with it. But I have now realized that good leaders are able to control the extremists. Reagan was able to control the right extremists of the Republican Party. Blair was able to control the left extremists of the Labour Party. And so, the fact is that every right of center party comes to power on the back of two different groups. One are people who are economically right of center, who believe in the market, and the second are what we could call the cultural right, meaning they could be nationalists, they could be in America, they are born again, Christians or they are pro-life people, and in Europe there are people who are against immigration. So they always are people in every right of center party, and the good leader has to strike a balance, because purely a right of center economic agenda doesn't bring you to power, because people cannot see the invisible hand, and so you need the support, and Modi needs their support. But I think there's a place to draw the line and create a sense of coming back to why he was elected. He should ask himself.
Mohandas, I want to go back to the point that you were making, that this is one incident in the life of a nation. It's not as if heavens have fallen and investments will continue to come in. My basic question to you is that the Prime Minister makes a very open pitch for investments in India, Make in India or Digital India, all the initiatives that he spearheads while he's overseas or back home here when he's hosting people like Angela Merkel. I'm sure at some stage investors or statesmen like Angela Merkel are going to turn around and say, what is happening in your country? What should the answers be? And shouldn't the answers come from right at the top?
Well, they may ask what is happening in the country. Modi will ask what is happening to the neo-Nazis in Germany. What is happening to the racism against non-white people in Germany? Every country has got this problem. Let us understand reality. We're making too much of it. What happened is bad. It's a breakdown of law and order. The perpetrators should be caught, punished, put into jail. A special investigation team should be done. Special prosecutors should be done. Special court should be done. And the government of Uttar Pradesh has to do it, not Narendra Modi. He cannot go there and arrest anybody. Yes, if he has to condemn, he has to condemn. That's fine. I think we should do it. And I don't disagree with anybody on that score. But to blame him and put all the blame to say the idea of India is gone, investment is going to come, is a gross exaggeration. And let me tell all of you in the media, tomorrow some other event happens somewhere, some terrorist attack, God forbid, or something, you're going to forget this. What happened to Muzaffarnagar? 52 people were killed by mobs worse than this. What has happened to them? Are you all concerned whether there is a rule of law in that place, whether justice has been done? What happened to the poor victims? None of you are concerned. We're just blowing it up for whatever reason. I think we should stop it and become much more practical and look at it very distinctly. This is a big country. Our rights are safe in this country. We have courts. We have civil liberties. There's been a distortion. It has gone wrong. We've got to set it right. That is it, period. And to say that investment will not come, the country will blow up, I think this is totally wrong. I mean, I don't agree. I mean, every country has got that. And, you know, like I told you, Modi should ask Angela about the neo-Nazis in the country and what they're doing by putting those swastikas on the Jewish face. And he should not say anything about what's happening in his own country. Let's accept it. What is that? She will ask. She may ask. He has to answer. Sure. He has to answer. He will answer and say, look, there's a problem and we are going to, law is going to take its, impact. That's all it is.
Sure. I want to get in Sanjeev Aga as well. Would you fault, Sanjeev Aga, direct question, would you fault the Prime Minister for being silent? We're not saying that, that the top leadership is responsible for what's happened, but would you fault the top leadership of this government, including the Prime Minister, for being silent 4 days or 5 days after the incident has happened? No comment whatsoever. Would you fault the Prime Minister for that?
I'd like to answer your question in my own way. First of all, I care two hoots what Angela Merkel might think, but I care a lot what I think about my country. It matters much more to me what kind of a country my grandchildren are going to live in. And now to answer your question directly about the Prime Minister, I think what you're finding in India over the last 50, 60 years is a dilution of most authority. Whether it is chief ministers, the police, even the judiciary, moral authority and legitimization of authority has taken a beating. So you've got nominal authority, you've got nominal people, but they don't carry weight. There is only one authority in India today, and I'm not saying this negatively, I'm saying this with admiration, which is Mr. Narendra Modi. It is not the office of the Prime Minister, it is the individual Narendra Modi for whom a substantial number of people have cast their faith 1 year ago. Because of that, if Mr. Narendra Modi just says stop it, it will stop. And all these guys and all these, hyped up debates and fiery speeches will stop on both sides. When someone dies, it's an occasion for sorrow. Mahatma Gandhi used to go into fasting. He couldn't put food down his gullet. And here we are having people getting more and more excited. So I think there is a role for a Prime Minister, but not in his capacity as a Prime Minister, but in his capacity as the only person in India today who has got authority. So if he says stop it, it will stop.
So he should speak.
He should exercise.
He should exercise that authority and say stop it. Swaminathan Aiyar, I want to get your quick views because I'm sure you're going to disagree with Mohandas Pai. What's your view? Would you fault the Prime Minister here for being silent, for not doing enough to rein in some of the right-wing extremism that we've seen?
Narendra Modi should have straight away come out and denounced what was happening. By keeping silent, without doubt, he is encouraging these guys to continue the way they are. So, I mean, it's all very well for him to sit in Silicon Valley and beam and say, come and invest here. They should say, turn around, many of us here are beef eaters. Will you kill us when we come to India? I think that's the appropriate thing to say. The idea that, you can behave any way you like and it's perfectly okay. No, it's not okay. Now, it's a separate question that foreign investors are cynical people. They have invested in all kinds of countries where there are no civil rights. They have invested massively in China, where there are huge, gross violations of civil rights. So let's not pretend that somehow foreign investment or investment will dry up because of a violation of social rights. But there is a long-term issue, a society which is not in harmony, a society where people feel that it is not safe for me to be here or to exercise my normal rights. That society is under a long-term threat to the very concept of what the country stands for, or its ethnic ethos, its social ethos, its cultural ethos.
All right, given the studied, conspicuous silence of the Prime Minister, Gurcharan Das, if I were to ask you, if there were to be damage control now, what should the Prime Minister do to send the right signal at this stage? He's not spoken so far on this matter, but what should he be doing right now?
Well, I personally think he has to speak up. And he has to speak up. And he has spoken on several occasions. And he has said some very fine words. But he has to do it more often. He has to condemn incidents like these. And that he himself so far had shown himself to be above this. And that's why it's puzzling and disappointing that he is not speaking up. I mean, here's the same guy who in Gujarat had totally muzzled the RSS, the VHP, all the saffron elements. They didn't speak at all, and he very successfully managed. In the last 10 years, there were no communal incidents after 2002, and so I would appeal to him to do what he did in Gujarat.
But they also say India isn't a Gujarat and Gujarat wasn't an India, and he's grappling with an unprecedented volume of work and a volume of situation here. Mohandas Pai, you initially said that it's the government in Uttar Pradesh and Akhilesh Yadav, and rightfully so, who should be responsible for controlling law and order of what has happened in Dadri, and why should the Prime Minister intervene? But like Gurcharan Das is pointing out there, and like Sanjeev Aga said, he has the moral and the political authority to do so. Would you not want the Prime Minister to break his silence on this issue, considering he is just so vocal on every other issue, wishing people happy birthday, to writing in Mandarin, to speaking in a language in Uzbekistan? He is the Prime Minister who really reaches out. Why should he be silent right now?
No, I agree that he must reach out and he must, condemn this. I totally agree, and I hope he does it. But I won't hold it against him if he does not do it now. He does it later. I would hold it against Akhilesh Yadav, Mulayam Singh Yadav, that there's a minister there, Khan or somebody, who is playing games. They should have gone and arrested the BJP MLA, put him behind bars. He's instigating, and there was another MLA of their own Samajwadi party who's instigating the other side. They should have arrested him. Other person said he's going to the UN. They should have arrested him, put him behind bars. Enforce the rule of law. In Gujarat, Narendra Modi as Chief Minister could enforce the rule of law. In Uttar Pradesh, he cannot enforce the rule of law. It has to be done by the local administration. And we must ask the local administration to stop playing politics and enforce the rule of law. What we lack in this country is justice. What happened in Muzaffarnagar? What happened to all those riots? Everybody condemned. Manmohan Singh condemned. Then what happened? There is no justice. We need justice. Long term, we need justice to have a good society. There is no point everybody condemning and saying we'll be satisfied with Modi condemning. I'm not satisfied with Modi condemning. I am satisfied only when the rule of law is enforced, when there is justice, the people who have done this are punished, put behind bars, speedily within 2 years, and they're given exemplary punishment. That's the only way to bring justice in society, not mere words. Words are important, yes, but words are not going to have action on the ground, and if we just have mere words without action to enforce the law, it's going to repeat again and again and again. We're going to have these perpetual debates. So let's be clear, we need the rule of law, enforce the rule of law by the government of the state, demand that as citizens, demand as a media, and that will settle all these issues.
Right. Sanjeev, I want to comment on that quickly. The fact that what we need is that rule of law needs to be enforced. That's what's not happening right now. And the moment you enforce the rule of law in a transparent manner, you will not have incidents like this.
Yes, I mean, you know what Mohandas is saying about UP government and the police, I agree. But there is a larger issue. We have to admit that in our society, between both Hindus and Muslims, there is a sizable number who nurse a degree of an undercurrent of prejudice. It isn't as if every Hindu is free of prejudice or every Muslim is free of prejudice. There is a significant number, and there is a role for top leadership which has held this country together after the trauma of partition. We've had, you know, but there are fault lines, and anytime things of this nature happen, as Swami is saying, it worries, because if the social fabric starts puncturing, then, you know, forget economic, you know, life isn't worth living. So I think there are grave issues. I would agree that, you know, one incident out of context, and as I said, it is not the death of one person, but I think what goes on around it, the fact that, you know, 200, 300 people in cold blood for no right of reason can go and smash someone's skull is sickening. And I would have liked to see on TV channels people being shameful.
And not score political points.
And in fact, I find on a lot of channels, although the anchors are taking strong stances, but the whole approach is a debate. It is adversarial, and we have political parties and spokesmen. So somewhere I think, you know, search for truth is taking a back seat and posturing is coming in the forefront.
Sure. Swami, I'll let you have the last word on this. There's a reason why we kept the politicians out of this debate, is because we wanted people like all of you to make sense of all that's going on. You know, development, unfortunately, and let's talk about the fallout of all that's happened. Development is unfortunately no longer a poll issue in Bihar when it should have been a poll issue. Could this backfire for the BJP?
No, all I can say is I do hope that happens. Now, of course, there are some people who are predicting that the BJP is going to lose anyway. So if the BJP does lose, the jury will still be out on what caused that loss. It could simply be argued that, you know, Nitish Kumar's rural electrification program has worked. Or it could say the caste combination of the lower caste and the Muslims is enough for the Nitish and Lalu Yadav to be. I mean, various explanations could be given, and we will never be sure. But surely it will give a signal to Amit Shah and to Narendra Modi that communal polarization does not win you elections. I hope, therefore,
and that is what we will actually see. Thank you very much, each one of you, for being with us on this fascinating debate. I wonder if this is going to die out of political headlines for a while now, but Sanjeev Aga, Mohandas, Gurcharan and Swaminathan Aiyar, we really appreciate you taking time out this evening and talking to us right here in Business Tonight on ET Now.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNow Live. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.